Good day, students. Today we're going to look at examples of graphing lines. This comes from book 1, chapter 1, page 73, numbers 12 and 13. So this is on page 73. Let me just jot that down, page 73. Okay? Now, so the first one we'll look at is number 12. Graph the line through point 23 and parallel to the line with the equation 4x plus 3y equals 12. So let's graph that line first. Now in order to graph that line, we're going to use one of two methods. And the method I'm using now is slope-intercept method. So I'm going to solve for y, determine the slope and the y-intercept, and then graph the line. So as you can see here, I'm moving 4x over to this side, or subtracting 4x from both sides. So obviously that's going to change to negative 4x plus 12. Move the 12 over and put the negative 4x in front. Then we divide everything, of course, by the coefficient of y, which is 3 in this case. And we have then the following, simplifying. Y equals negative 4 over 3x plus 4. Now, you should be able to read from that the slope and the y-intercept. The slope, of course, is negative 4 over 3, and the y-intercept is 4. Now, I can graph this line if I want, but remember, we want to graph a line that's parallel to this one and passes through a different point, and the point is up above there, 2, 3, and parallel. So if it's parallel lines, what we do know about parallel lines is parallel lines have equal slopes, right? So we want to use the same slope, so we're definitely going to use this slope right here, negative 4/3. Okay, and we are also going to use the point up above, which is 2, 3. So we're going to find that line, or find that point 2, 3. So let's find the point 2, 3. And I just found it. Okay, let me just change my pen here. There we go, 2, 3. And we're going to draw a line through that with a slope of negative 4/3. Now negative 4/3, two choices. So if our slope is negative 4 over 3, so remember what I did now, I graphed the point 2, 3. It's parallel, so we use the same slope. And of course we know that's rise over run. So my run is 3 and my rise is 4. So we can go up and to the left if it's a negative slope, or down 4 and to the right. So I'm going to choose up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. Okay, or down 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and using those 3 points, I'll then draw my line. And there's my line right there. So there's a line parallel to the first line. Now if you want to graph the first line to see that it's parallel, you could have done that as well, but it only asked you to graph that particular line. So we can see that this line, now I'll just put arrowheads on it there. There we go. Alright, so that's the answer to number 11. Now label key points. So when you're labeling your graph, you should label the point 2, 3, obviously a key point right here, 2, 3, right? And if you want, then you could show your slope from there, show the 4 units up and the 3 units across, so it'll be 4 and 3. So there's your solution to number 11. Now number 12 is very similar, except you'll notice the new word here, the different word, perpendicular. Now what do we know about perpendicular lines? Perpendicular lines have slopes that are We call it negative, which means opposite sign. Take the opposite sign, reciprocals, or some people say inverse reciprocals. Okay? So the first thing we're going to have to do is find the slope of that line. Then take the inverse reciprocal of it. So let's solve for y again right here. So negative 2y, I move the x over, or subtract x from both sides, whichever way you want to say it. There's negative 2x equals negative x plus 8. Now divide each number by the coefficient of y, which is negative 2. And I get y equals negative over negative is a 1 understood to be in front of that. Right? So negative over negative is positive. 1 over 2x subtract 4. Again, I'm only concerned with the slope here because I have another point to draw through. Now the slope you can see is 1 over 2. Exactly. 1 over 2. Now that's not the slope I use. Because I'm perpendicular lines, then the slope perpendicular, I'll use a little perpendicular symbol, is then negative 2. So this is the slope I'll use, negative 2 or negative 2 over 1. So remember, perpendicular lines, right? Negative reciprocals. So I'll take the opposite sign and flip it. Okay? We also know that we pass through the point 4, 5. So I have to use this point with this slope. And that's the line we're looking at. So again, find a point 4, 5. 4, 5 is another point in the first quadrant. So here's 4, 5. So let me double check. It looks like 4, 5. And we're going to use the slope negative 2 over 1. So I go, and again I have choices. I can go up 2 and it's negative slope again. So I go left 1. Or I can go down 2 and to the right 1. Either way, there's the 3 points I'm going to join. I'll get my line drawer here, and we'll draw that line. And there's the line that passes through. Okay, so that's the solution to number 12. And again, label key points. I do have my point labeled 4, 5, which is the point I draw through. And you can see the slope here. If you want to put 2 for your rise and 1 for your run, you can write that in as well. So there's the complete solutions for numbers 12 and 13 on page 73.